So I'm going to try to show you how to block in with the first stages of your drawing of a shoe. So I have a shoe set up over to the left of my easel. I've got my paper here. I'm using a smaller sheet than you will. But first of all, a word or two about sharpening your pencil. You need a long lead or graphite showing on the end of your pencil. If you don't have some lead available, then you need to stop using the automatic sharpener and get the razor blade out and sharpen your tool longer. Now you can do that by taking an X-Acto knife and your thumb, putting your thumb against that part of the knife, and then pulling gently like so, and working and exposing that lead, that graphite that's in your pencil. Your pencil lead will support some pressure, so you can stretch it on out there and get some lead available. And the reason you want this is because you're not going to be drawing most of the time like this. You're going to be using the overhand method, where you take this, put your fingers against the surface, and lightly lower the pencil lead to the surface. So with your arm extended and making marks like so, you'll end up doing much better on your drawing projects. So that's the first word about getting some lead out there on your pencil, so that it's not just a typical point. Now, in this video, I'd like to show you how to do some visual measuring and how you'd set this up. So since my camera runs from about in here to over here, I guess I'll put this shoe. I want it about something about like this wide, and I want my base of the shoe to be somewhere in here. Now I'm drawing very lightly and just boxing in where I want the object to go. So if I look at the sort of the baseline of the shoe, then there's a curve there, and I'm just going to search for this line with very light strokes and just sort of block in. Now, I'm not committed yet at all. This back edge runs up, and I can already see that I'm going to have to adjust my camera a little bit. Let's see if we can get it on there. So this back edge is going to run up this direction, and then the front edge is over here of my shoe. And so I'm going to estimate about the height of that shoe with a light line, and then start working my way up, and then around. This is sort of a boot-like shape. So I've got this general shape now that I've just eyeballed of that shoe. Now I could go back and visually measure by putting my finger on my stick and doing visual measurements to see if I'm on or off. Now I'm going to swivel the camera over here to my shoe. So when I look at the shoe now and put my finger here, I can measure how tall it is like this. Okay, there's 1 unit. So let's say the height of my drawing is 1 unit tall, and then I can measure how many wide it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, coming back to my drawing here, forgive my jiggling around here. On here, if my unit of measure is about that tall, see how that's my 1, then I can go left to right now. 1, I'll put a little mark there. 2, 3, and 4. So I'm not far off. So that's how you do the unit of measure, and you can measure your visual objects that you're trying to draw with that technique. You have to use your arm in the same position. In other words, some people straighten their arm out and then move it left and right so that you're not pulling it in and out like this while you're measuring. So you have to keep it in one position, but that's not hard. And you can also close one eye. That kind of helps you to do your visual measuring that way. So I know that the height from right in here somewhere to there is my unit of measure. So height to width now is accurate from what I'm seeing on my shoe. So with that laid in, then sort of blocked in this shape, I've got the general shape for my shoe, and so now I can begin to refine it and look for the one line that I'm going to want in this piece. And so I can see on this drawing that there's a width on the sole of this that's coming around here. And notice I haven't converted over to this kind of position and noodling tight yet. You know, I'll get to that, but in this case, with a straight arm in a comfortable position, I'm in the best spot to render this shoe up and find where those lines are. Okay, this part comes around, and then this comes up like here. We've got a shape like this where this boot is coming around like so. And this is sort of, I'm kind of in my second level. The shoestring comes off this direction. So I'm going to do a curving line there for that. Then on your drawing, I'm going to want you to work out, if you've got shoestrings or whatever, I'm going to want you to work all those out carefully. But at this point, you're just laying them in, playing around with positions. And you can pull your eraser out, but you know, if you'll draw light enough, you won't have to erase much because those light lines don't really matter at this point. Okay, so I like that. I've got this running in there pretty nicely. There's a back edge here. Got a little one of these things, bootstrap on the back. This comes up, over, and comes down with that. And the back side looks like it's running up here and around. Okay, I've got some eyelets here. And with that, I've got the general shape pretty successfully on this boot. Now with the overhand method like this, I've laid in the entire boot shape in my drawing. So the next step, let me do an adjustment here. I know that's irritating. See your camera adjusting. It's like the Bourne Supremacy. Too much jiggle on this camera. Let's see here. The next step is to find the one line, and you can do that with a side stroke like this. Pulling a line, here, let me get down here. Pulling a line is narrow, a side line is thick. So you can, almost got that on camera, didn't it? Pulling a line is narrow, a side stroke is thick. So you can find the outside edge lines like so, work your way down through this. So So I want on the edge of my boot, I want the thicker line. And on the inside objects, I want the thinner line. So like this, I want a thinner line running through there. So I'm pulling that down the length of the pencil point. But if I want a thicker line, then I can pull a side stroke. So generally, line weight variation in a drawing says what's more important is thicker, and outer edges usually are more important to see what is happening with the object. So generally, I'm staying thinner inside, and then I'll go thicker on the outside. Now at this point, I am resisting the urge to begin shadowing this work or shading it. So in these first steps, I just want you to find the exterior lines. I broke my pencil point. Luckily, I have more than one ready to go, so. But that is not an ebony, so I'm going to have to walk over and get my other ebony. Here's an ebony that is not sharpened. Well, it took too much time, didn't it? Okay, so here's another ebony coming around the corner. Thicker lines will form, it'll help your viewer understand where the edges of the objects are. And I'm like some of you, I'm just dying to start shading this piece, but if I stay with line in the beginning, then it works out better. Sort of interesting drawing around a camera. I'm having to look at this piece. In a new way, but it's just a challenge. I'll get better as we go through the semester on this type of stuff. So basically, there's your a quick idea of your shoe. And in this project, you'll be working on several shoes of your choice. I believe there's a minimum of three shoes to work on, stacked up. And if you'll use these techniques, then that will really help you in getting line width variation and blocking in the shapes that you see.